I'm a corporate entrepreneur. So I do both. I've done both over my career. And I love entrepreneurship, but I've done it in a corporate setting also. The TDC story, just the short version for me, is that I've done several things with TDC and I haven't done the same job. So I started up a company owned by TDC, Midway. I started up Sunrise as part of the team down there, starting up the company in Switzerland, grew it fast the first years. And then the last 6-7 years I was in a more traditional corporate role, being responsible for the consumer and wholesale market in Denmark. The consumer and wholesale mobile market in Denmark. Well, at first it was a feeling of great freedom, but afterwards you realize that one of the advantages of being in a corporate environment is that they're great colleagues. And it's great to go to an office and meet people that you respect and that you get something out of professionally by just talking with them. So there's clearly an advantage, I think, in the freedom side of being on your own, but also there is a downside, which is you're not part of an office with many people and competences. I'm looking for what I call an investment leadership opportunity to get into a company and to be part of the management or the kind of active board of the company. Technology, that's where I come from, primarily ICT or potentially to get into some clean tech area. Of course, that's a very interesting area these days. Well, it's great to be part of an environment where there's this kind of go-get-it atmosphere, let's just do it, and excitement about the company, the idea, the mission, and this, and that's what you easily lose in a corporate environment. This being very, very close to the customer and to the mission, and that's great. I mean, to be with people who really live and die for their companies. I have an international career. I'm married to a Mexican. And one thing I've come to learn is that there's no such thing as good or better than the other. It's just different. And the feeling I have about Denmark is that it's not a country with a very strong drive to create new companies and establish yourself. It's a combination of the alternatives are really good. You can get very good jobs and you can live an excellent life with a decent income. That's on the one hand, and on the other hand, the opportunities for creating wealth as an entrepreneur, they're challenged by a number of things, including the taxes. The Tech Tour is an organization established in '98 about bringing investors and established startups together. A European concept going from country to country year after year. It visited Denmark back in 2003, Sweden in 2005, and now it was time to bring the tour back to Denmark and Sweden and introduce the 24 companies we selected to international global VCs. So we started out by choosing these 24 companies, and then we made a tour through the region of Denmark and Sweden to introduce these investors to the companies. It's a very intensive 48-hour format. Started out in Børsen in Copenhagen, and then we traveled to Hørsholm, to Søhuset, and we had 6 pitches there. 6 pitches of a duration of 15-20 minutes. And then we went on to 2 other locations in Denmark. And then the day after to Lund, the Ideon Science Park, and to Sony Ericsson, and to the Turning Torso in Malmö. I think this is an area where I learned a lot personally, because there's a huge difference what you can do in 15-20 minutes. You can actually achieve so much in such a short time. Some companies made exceptionally good use of those 15-20 minutes. My feeling is that it was completely prepared, down to the second almost. Each joke, each fact, everything was prepared. What to do afterwards was prepared. And others, I think generally the standard was really, really high, actually very, very good. But others were not that sharp. And clearly the ones who get the most out of it, those are the ones prepared. And I mean, I was thinking, much rather spend time on the most important pitches than doing many pitches. Because with a very targeted approach, I think you can achieve a lot as a startup. It's a very open process. The criteria are defined, communicated. I think what needs to be understood is that the tech tour has a certain expectation to stage mix. So the amount of really seed companies, growth, internationalization, and showcases. So I think if you are in the seed segment, your chances of coming on the tour are not as good as if you're a little bit more mature. So that's number one. That shouldn't stop you from applying, but just know that the odds are a bit tougher. And then spend some time on the process of providing the documentation for the selection committee. And of course talking to the selection committee members to make sure that they understand the application. There are two levels of takeaways. There's kind of a personal level and then there is a professional level. I think from the professional point of view, it was really needed. It was very important for this international event to come here because there are so many excellent companies here who really need exposure to international VCs. We managed to provide them with that exposure, and now there are several companies negotiating funding. So in that sense, that was a very important takeaway. And on the more personal level, I think it's really about stepping up and taking an opportunity and a chance. It was against all odds actually to bring the tour here because we had only 3 months to do it. So I was only really involved in the project for 3 months. And what I really learned is that you can do a lot more than you think in a shorter time than what you think is possible. Seen from the perspective of the head of the selection committee. The selection committee was this committee comprised of VCs, corporates, etc., 18 people choosing the companies. And the head of the selection committee, Arve Andresen from North Zone, he summed it up very well, and clearly something like clean tech, that's really hot. That's where much of the funding is going. And areas like mobile applications is not so hot because it's been talked about for a while, but there's not been created many good exits in that area. Generally, very, very high quality of companies to the degree that the VCs, the international VCs, they're coming back to me and say, wow, I mean, we've forgotten the high quality of companies up here. We really need to come back and visit this region more often.